Okay. It is now Tuesday, and we know what that means. It's time for yet another edition of NXT and Impact Wrestling. The only two things I'm watching wrestling-wise on television right now. Just how it works right now. I just need to take a break from WWE. Apparently something happened tonight that may make me change my mind, but I don't know. It just depends. Are you going to get a Royal Rumble video? Probably not. Don't even know if I'll watch Fastlane at this point. Just kind of depends. Let's talk about NXT. First off, I want to extend my congratulations to NXT for selling out the Columbus, Ohio... I can't call it a house show, but... yeah, I guess I could call it a house show, basically. Columbus, Ohio house show that's the weekend of the Arnold Classic. It's the first time that NXT has traveled outside of Florida, and... kudos to them for actually getting a sellout. I'd love to be able to attend the show, but obviously I wasn't fast enough, and I would have had to find a way to get there, and that probably didn't work too well. But I still can say that I've seen NXT live, and that is awesome in every single way possible. Let's talk about this week's edition of NXT, shall we? Or this past week's edition, since this is now Tuesday, and the next edition of NXT is coming later this week, in a couple days, actually. So... and my apologies real quick for the sinus issue. The weather is really weird here. It's like flip-flopping whether it wants to be cold or warm. It's kind of like in the 20s right now, so yeah, just sinuses are starting to get to me. So if I make the weird Owen noises, sorry. I apologize in advance. And that's to anybody watching any video this week on Pop. So let's start off with a continuation of last week's episode. Now, last week we saw an upset victory from Blake and Murphy, which I've now dubbed the Dubstep Muscle Laser Guns, given the fact that they have gear like the Motor City Machine Guns, if they had gear made by the same guy that did Hercules gear when he was in Power and Glory with Paul Roma. That's a really random reference right there. They are going to be taking on the Lucha Dragons this week for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Now, why are they facing the Lucha Dragons after winning one match over Aiden English and Simon Gotch, the Vaudevillains, last week? Well, they basically made a challenge, and Sin Cara and Kalisto accepted. So that's what we get to kick off the show. Now, I pick it up at the end of the match. They go back and forth for quite a while. Kalisto goes for a whip, Murphy counters it, and he goes for a scoop slam, but he puts him up over the shoulder going for a power slam. Kalisto lands on his feet, blind tag to Wesley Blake, and Kalisto hits the roll-up into the straight kick. Salida del Sol connects, but of course that's not the legal man in the ring, and Blake with a stack pin, and that's all she wrote. 1, 2, 3, and we have brand new NXT Tag Team Champions. Which kudos to, actually, a few people I talked to when I was in the crowd at Full Sail University for NXT TakeOver Our Evolution, calling Blake and Murphy as the next Tag Team Champions. So the DMLG are the NXT Tag Team Champions. And with NXT, it seems like it's pretty cut and dry, normally what's face and what's heel. Well, it's weird because the Laser Guns don't really seem like... they're definitely not heels, without a doubt. I definitely would call them baby faces, but they got an edge to them. I guess you could say babyface with an edge. I mean, the Vaudevillains are obviously heels. That's pretty straightforward. The Ascension could have gone either way, depending on how you look at it. But basically, they were booked as heels, but they basically were babyfaces as well. The fans basically dictating the fact that they were have the affiliation of face, even though they're basically booked as heels. So, I think this works. Number one, this gets the titles off Kalisto and Sin Cara, so Kalisto can move up to the main roster, which is something that's been predicted for a long time. A lot of rumors he's going to be the brand new Rey Mysterio when Mysterio steps down or leaves the company, whatever comes first at this rate. And it's funny because this was going to be the career path for Mystico, which of course left WWE and even gave the Sin Cara gimmick to Unico. So, yeah, I think it's funny, interesting that Kalisto is going to take the Mysterio spot. A luchador that the fans can cheer for, hits the flashy moveset, and can sell merchandise, can sell those lucha masks, obviously. I never was really big on the Lucha Dragons as a team. I can vouch for the fact that the crowd was pretty split down the middle when it comes to the Lucha Dragons and the Vaudevillains at our Evolution. There were a lot of people on my side chanting for Gotch in English, and there were several people chanting for the Dragons, but it really didn't seem like the Dragons really resonated with the Full Sail crowd. And given the fact that that's the only crowd you get to see on NXT television, yeah, you pretty much have to work with that crowd, and this crowd seemed kind of split down the middle on the Lucha Dragons. I'm glad they gave the championships to Blake and Murphy. I think the Laser Guns will do really well with them, and we'll see what their first program is going to be. I'm going to guess that the Vaudevillains are going to go after them pretty quickly, and that's probably the right direction to go. So obviously, we are continuing the number one contender tournament to determine who will be facing off with the NXT champion Sami Zayn. And this week we have more first round matches. One being a matchup between Adrian Neville and Tyson Kidd, and the other being a matchup between, like I said last week, the Irresistible Force being the immovable object, the battle between Baron Corbin and Bill Dempsey. And the winner of that match will face off... excuse me. They will face off against one another, so yeah. Obviously, we have Finn Balor and Hideo Itami already qualified, and they're going to be facing off against one another next week, and by next week I mean in a couple of days, which excites me. It should be pretty awesome. So, we're continuing the tournament. We go to Bayley in the back, and Charlotte basically comes in and reads her the riot act, and Bayley's like, you know what, for once I'm not going to apologize. I'm not sorry for this. I've been kind of nice. Too nice for my own good. And I saw what happens when Sami Zayn stopped being polite and started being real. Yeah, I had to do it. Sorry. It was in my head. When I wrote these notes, I was like, yep, I gotta make a real world reference. Tonight they need to work together, because obviously they're facing off against Best at Everything, and in order to beat Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch on the top of their game, they're going to have to coexist. Charlotte threatens her again, and Bayley basically says, you know what, I'm just going to have to deal with this, but she kind of stirs about knowing that the best is yet to come, I guess. So last week, a phenomenal main event between Hideo Itami and Tyler Breeze. Tremendous match. Tyler Breeze isn't deterred, not at all. He's going to sit back in his chair, relax, and just enjoy the show. And he's not embarrassed about losing last week because he's still gorgeous. Breeze has got a definite spot on the main roster in his future. I will say right now, Tyler Breeze is very underutilized since the NXT 5 came in. A lot of people kind of pushed Tyler Breeze down a little bit, put him a couple pegs down when it comes to the main roster and importance. But Tyler Breeze proved last week he definitely can still go, and I truly believe that Tyler Breeze will be on the top again. Maybe not necessarily the NXT champion, but I do see him in contention for the main event somewhere down the line. So speaking of that, we do have our number one contenders tournament continuing. It is Adrian Neville against Tyson Kidd, and of course this match, a rematch from May's TakeOver, basically. This match was really, really, really good. So we'll kick to the end here. Neville goes for a suplex. I gotta read the wrong notes. Tyson floats over, boot in the midsection. Tyson picks him up, hangs him out to dry, front suplex across the top rope. Hits the fact check, which is the Fisherman's Neck Breaker, or the old Perry Saturn three-handled family-covered moss... wow, it's easy to say. Three-handled moss-covered family credenza. Thank you very much for being able to remember that a long time ago. So yeah, I'm calling it the fact check now, so that's what we're going to call it. I used to call it the Stampede Swing, I'm calling it the fact check. So he charges in, he eats the boot of Neville, roll up, countered by Kidd, and he goes for a German. And of course, the German makes Neville land on his feet, straight kick from Neville, hits the sit-out powerbomb, 1-2, and a kick out from Tyson Kidd. Of course, the Better Than Batista chant starts up yet again. So Tyson grabs the foot. Neville straight kicks him in the face. Kidd with a drop kick sends Neville to basically to the hard part of the apron. and then to the floor. He goes for the punt kick. He rolls him in, gets a 2 off of that. Goes for the sharpshooter. Neville kicks him off and gets hit with a pop-up and a high kick. Red Arrow finishes 1, 2, 3, and Adrian Neville is moving on in the NXT Championship Tournament #1 contender spot. I really enjoyed this match. A lot of great action in this match. A lot of great action on this show. Just like I can say every single week, NXT brings the wrestling action, stuff I enjoy calling, stuff I love calling, and stuff that I love watching. That's the reason why I'm still talking about NXT, and I've pretty much sworn off Raw and SmackDown at this moment. So, Neville is interviewed by a gentleman, I get to bring this up, a gentleman that we saw last week try to interview Kevin Owens, but to no avail in the locker room. He tried to get some words from Kevin Owens. It's the first time we saw him on camera. And I thought the guy looked familiar, but I wasn't quite positive where I saw him before. And then it hit me. As a matter of fact, I was on the same stage as this gentleman many, many years ago. And by many years ago, I mean a few years ago. Because this guy, who is now known in NXT as Greg Hamilton, is none other than Greg Hudson, which was the former host of the American Idol experience at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Which means that when I was on that Idol stage several years back, I actually was on the same Idol stage with Greg before. And really happy to see a Disney alum do well and get signed on by NXT. It's funny because you have the Disney alum with the fact that Greg Hudson was there, and then, of course, Mike Aiello, his wife Summer, and their family obviously were sitting ringside for this show. They were in attendance for the last several NXT tapings, so I think this may be the last show we see them on, but I don't know, maybe this coming week show, the one in a couple days. We'll see, but it's kind of cool to see Greg doing so well, and now he is an interviewer for NXT. And it's always awesome to see my friend Mike Aiello as well. Jam up guy, if you ever get a chance to chat with him, I would take the opportunity. So, Neville says Baron and Bull are both two big guys, they're tough, but you know what? This business is about tub thumping. Yep, I didn't say that. I said that. He didn't say that. He basically says this business is about getting knocked down and then getting back up again. Yes, Adrian Neville basically said that this business is like tub thumping. So, he's going to do whatever he has to get back to the top of the mountain in NXT, and that's what he has to do. He's the most dominant champion in NXT company history, and he wants to prove why. So, Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch are in the back, and Sasha says, you know what, Becky knows her place. She knows exactly what she has to do, and that is make sure I become NXT Women's Champion. And she says, I'll see you out there. And Becky has one more word for her. Basically says, you know, yeah, you'll see what happens when I become NXT Women's Champion. Some trouble in paradise between the BAE going into their Fatal 4-Way coming up at TakeOver on February 11th, which I'm very much looking forward to. So the Laser Guns basically say that it wasn't a fluke. Before, with the Vaudevillains, it definitely wasn't a fluke with the Lucha Dragons, and they will be definite fighting champions. So I'm really curious to see what happens with them. I really would like to see them work with the Ascension. I know they're kind of playing 80s wrestler right now on WWE programming, but bring back the Evil Ascension. I think it might be a really fun program to go into. We had our next match. It is tag team action. Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch, Team Best at Everything, taking on the unorthodox team of the NXT Women's Champion Charlotte and Bayley. Bayley, of course, not coming out to her old peppy music. It's the new stuff. I don't really like it very much. It's kind of a ripoff of Owl City and Carly Rae Jepsen's Good Time. That's pretty much what it reminds me of. So, this match basically goes to a no contest. So, Charlotte and Bayley end up fighting, and Best at Everything attack, and Bayley tosses Sasha, and Charlotte gets rid of Becky, and then they brawl yet again. So, obviously, there's extreme trouble in paradise, and all four ladies definitely want the NXT Women's Championship, and 3 ladies want to take Charlotte down, and we'll see on February 11th if any of them are able to do so. At this moment, I said this a while back, I'm going to say this again. I predicted a new champion at our Evolution, and I thought that would happen, but Charlotte retained. I think we will have a new champion at TakeOver this coming time in a couple of days, and I actually think that they're going to put the championship on Bayley. I think Bayley takes the title. The wild card here is Becky Lynch. Obviously, Sasha Banks is the obvious choice. Bayley is the person I'd put it on, and, Becky Lynch is the wild card here. It's anyone's guess what's going to happen with that. So, Finn Balor's in the back, and he's talking about how Hideo Itami is his friend. He brought him in NXT, and Itami comes out like a father figure and says, basically, I brought you into this company, and if I have to, I can take you out. I just thought he was going to go to the woods and get a switch or something. So, yeah, and apparently Emma's back because they weren't doing anything with her on the WWE main roster because they don't do anything with the women on the WWE main roster. Poor Paige. I'm glad she's making the money she is, but she'd have a lot better wrestling matches if she was still in NXT, and everyone knows it. But it's all about the mighty dollar, I get that. So Emma, of course, is back. She wants some revenge on Carmella, so obviously Carmella beat Emma, and now Emma wants some payback, so we're going to get that match coming up soon. So the number one contenders tournament rolls on as Baron Corbin faces off against Bull Dempsey, which I guess would be our main event for the night. Okay, this match is short, straight to the point. Dempsey had the advantage. He ended up getting caught, and a whip-in, an avalanche in the corner. Corbin nails End of Days one more time. 1, 2, 3, match over. After the match is over, Bull Dempsey says, Baron got lucky. Got lucky twice? In less than 2 minutes both times? And Corbin pretty much just browbeats him, like, yeah, whatever, and he bombs out. So, yeah. He turns into Kimmy's boyfriend, Dwayne, on Full House, like, whatever. And he just bombs out, and that's pretty much the end of that. So, it's official. We're going to get Adrian Neville against Baron Corbin. And Corbin has not had a pinfall loss on NXT since his return. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. And of course, the winner of that faces off against the winner of the Hideo Itami Finn Balor match, which I cannot wait to see. I heard rumors that it was actually a match they were doing, and I saw the tweet. It was like, post for spoilers, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll look at it. It was a picture of Finn Balor and Hideo Itami in the same ring, getting ready to face off one-on-one. I was like, this is going to be awesome. Because obviously they can't stay tag team forever, and there's a lot of upside to Finn Balor. He's got a great entrance, great ring presence, he's got great merch, and it's selling very well. I have a Finn Balor shirt, I'm not going to deny that. So yeah, I really think that Finn Balor is definitely going to be a number one contender for the NXT Championship, whether he wins this tournament or not. So of course the show has to end with what WWE like to call a talkie-talkie segment, but William Regal knows how this has gone in the past, so he puts a caveat on it right away and says, you know what, if you guys touch each other, then the match is off. So there's not going to be any chicanery, there's not going to be any shenanigans, it's not going to happen. No way. So he brings out Sami Zayn, and he brings out Kevin Owens, and right away, Sami Zayn signs the contract. Owens gets it, he won't sign it. Sami wants an explanation why Owens did what he did. Why they took the last 12 years of running the roads, whether they're with each other or against one another, both coming out of Montreal. He didn't see it coming. But everything, all that, all the indie work, all the stuff done in Japan, all the stuff done all around the world, it all led to here, led to NXT, and the fans start chanting for NXT because that is the place to be right now. He never thought he'd do that. At TakeOver, he's going to beat the hell out of Kevin Owens. Owens goes, you know, this contract, it's not going to work. Not going to work for me. Because it says non-title. And as much as you think that I did, this isn't personal. This is about a prize. And the prize isn't beating you. The prize is taking the NXT Championship from you. So, Owens won't sign the contract unless Regal does it. So Sami Zayn knows Kevin Owens and says, you know what? Regal, just listen to him. Hear him out. I understand he hasn't earned a shot. I get that 100%. But he won't sign this contract. I know him well enough to know he won't sign this contract unless we give him what he wants. So reluctantly, William Regal makes it a title match. Owens signs it. And he pulls a Scott Hall and he tosses the pin at Sami Zayn. Zayn gets fuming. Regal has to hold him back. And that's how we go home. Excellent NXT this week. All building towards TakeOver. We have one more week, and then we have TakeOver next week, which I'm really looking forward to. They're building it up really well. It's going to be an awesome show, and it's got a lot of great things going for it right now. I'm very much looking forward to see what they do with all the NXT talent on this. We have the Fatal 4-Way, Bayley, Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, NXT Women's Championship. I would say we have the tournament final for the #1 contender spot. There's a lot of stuff on this show. I mean, I'm sure the Laser Guns will defend the tag team titles. Maybe a rematch with the Lucha Dragons, potentially. Maybe a 3-way with the Vaudevillains. That could possibly happen. There's a lot of different directions you can go. And the main event, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, the first time in an NXT ring for the NXT Championship. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with this. This was an awesome show. Top to bottom, I love NXT. I really do. And being in that crowd, if you ever get a chance to, you ever around Winter Park, Florida, when they are doing NXT tapings, do yourself a favor. Go out, enjoy yourself. $10 general admission, or you can get ringside for a little bit more than that. It's totally worth it. If you get a chance to watch NXT, when they start touring, and there is a really great sign that they will, I would say if you have a chance to see NXT, take it. Please do. If you're watching these videos, you like them. Obviously, you like NXT, you like the product. Please take all the time to watch NXT live. Tag match was awesome. I like the fact that the Guns are winning with flash roll-ups. They're not winning with finishers. I think that was awesome. I like that a lot. I like Neville and Kid. I thought they have great chemistry in the ring together. The match was even better than their match at TakeOver. I really dug that match. I like the finish there. I thought it worked really well. The women's tag match was really awesome. And the final in-ring segment, the contract signing for Owens and Zayn, I thought that was really done very well. Corbin and Dempsey, here's the thing. You're building this program. This is the only problem I have with NXT at this moment. You're building this program with Baron Corbin being your lone wolf against Bull Dempsey, who is your monster. Like, you have two monsters getting ready to go at it. Why do you blow it off in 2 minutes? Not only once, but twice. There is no credibility for Bull Dempsey. If they're going to do nothing with him, that's fine. But I get the fact that he needs to get involved with the match against Adrian Neville. That's the only way I can see this continuing. Other than that, just sweep it under the rug and just do whatever you were going to do with Mojo Rawley. Thank God that got ended. But still, I mean, that's the only problem I have with NXT right now. Other than that, great show. If you're not watching NXT, why not? If you're not watching on the network, find another way to see it. There's streams out there if you want to go that direction. I'm sure there's a way to check it out. Please do watch NXT. Let's talk TNA, shall we? So, from NXT to Impact, we're going to start off, obviously we're on the road to Lockdown. Lockdown is going to be this week, this Friday. Lethal Lockdown. 4 men on one side, 4 men on the opposite side. Kurt Angle and a all-out war with the Beatdown Clan. Obviously, he's trying to find a team. And that's what this episode's about, basically. So Bobby Roode comes out with the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, and he basically says, even though possession is 9/10 of the law, this title does not belong to him. It belongs to Bobby Lashley. Obviously, when Lashley got jumped in the street last week, he got the title saved for him by Bobby Roode. Roode didn't give the championship back right away to Lashley like we thought he might. No, he kept it an entire week. Okay, sure. He basically says the championship means the world to him. He's dedicated his life to professional wrestling, and it represents everything that is the greatness of this company. He's been TNA World Heavyweight Champion before, and he wants to do it again. He talks about January 7th when Eric Young stabbed him in the back. They were like brothers in more ways than one. He will not rest until the blood of his brother is spilled. So, the only people that need to be in the title picture are him and Lashley. Totally understand that. He calls Lashley out and he says he's man enough to admit that Lashley was the better man. And that Eric Young and the Beatdown Clan pretty much caused him to lose. Like, straight up. Plain and simple. He respects them fighting of the Beatdown Clan, but realizes that Lashley and Rude have had great matches one-on-one. He's man enough to admit the title belongs to him, and he's going to give it back, but he's owed a rematch, and he wants it tonight. Lashley's like, sure, I'll fight you tonight. And Rude's like, get a ref out here, why wait? Here comes Austin Aries with the Feast or Fired briefcase. Of course. He's talking about how he's the man of options and how he's used the X Division Championship to lead to world title glory. And now he's got a new option. Option F for the Feast or Fired briefcase. Yeah, I know. It sounded better in my head. Sorry. Maybe he's going to cash in when Lashley or maybe when Bobby Roode, depending on who wins whenever they're beaten down and they're at their lowest. Because Austin Aries has made a TNA career out of being an opportunist, and everyone knows this. But here comes the Beatdown Clan. MVP walks out. He says, "Oh, you are dumb. Bobby Roode likes to play the blame game. Why don't you blame the BDC? We got strong shoulders. We can handle it." MVP is disappointed in Lashley like a father here. He basically says, no matter if you're a champion or not, you have to understand simple fact the title belongs to the Beatdown Clan. MVP tries to leverage for a one-on-one match against Lashley. And basically, Lashley goes, Austin Aries, save your briefcase. You're going to get your match tonight. MVP's going to get his match tonight. And Bobby Roode's going to get their match tonight. So we got a four-way for the World Heavyweight Championship to end tonight's Impact. We see Kurt Angle in the back. He's looking for the biggest and baddest to join him in the battle against the Beatdown Clan. Way too many B's there. And of course, the match of Lethal Lockdown. So we get our next match on my video here. The first match on Impact tonight. It is for the TNA Knockouts Championship. Taryn Terrell defending against Madison Rayne and Gail Kim. Obviously, we play up the fact that Madison and Gail were BFFs at one point, and they worked together for quite a considerable amount of time. And kudos to Josh Matthews for mentioning the fact that Madison Rayne is not from Seattle, Washington. She is from Columbus, Ohio, and brings up the fact that her Ohio State Buckeyes won the national championship. That's a shout out to my good friend Jock Sampson right there, who's also a proud Buckeye. So Taryn goes for the TKO, which is what I'm going to call it from now on. The Ace Crusher, the RKO, whatever you want to call it. The Taryn Knockout is what I'm going to call it. Madison shoves her off. Boot in, goes for the Raindrop, connects 1-2, and a kick out. Raindrop used to be something a lot different. Now she's using basically the Roxy Laveau Voodoo Drop. Has been doing that for a while. Gail with a crucifix roll-up gets the 2 off of that. And forearm goes for E to feet, gets shoved off. Middle rope, 180 flying body press misses. Gail finds nothing but canvas, and Madison ends up eating the TKO from Taryn Terrell. 1, 2, 3, and Taryn retains. You know, I'm glad Taryn Terrell is an in-ring competitor, and for those of you that just saw her before she came to TNA, they probably didn't think she was anything but just a pretty face, and oh, truly she is. But she's so much more than that. She's definitely a competent wrestler, and she's proven in her feud with Gail Kim that had one of the match of the years, obviously the last Knockout Standing match is what I'm referring to. She definitely can go in the ring, and given the fact she's a stunt woman, she's not afraid to take risks, and this has been proven time in and time out. TNA is the one company that really utilizes their ring steps to the fullest of their capacity. Really does, honestly. It seems like it happens with every match. So Taryn retains, and obviously she's on a collision course, which appears to be the winner of the Awesome Kong Havoc match at Lockdown this weekend. Because technically I say this weekend, because it's Friday. So yeah, I was curious to see where we go with this. Lockdown matches are announced by Josh Matthews and Taz. Kurt Angle captaining a team against the Beatdown Clan. Of course, the Beatdown Clan being represented by MVP, along with the X Division champion Low Key, as well as Kenny King and Samoa Joe. TNA World Tag Team titles on the line. Jeff and Matt Hardy finally get their shot against Cowboy James Storm and Abyss of the Revolution. and the aforementioned match I just brought up, Kong and Havoc. So, Bram and Magnus need to have a drink and hash everything out, because apparently Bram's a little butthurt that Magnus stole the briefcase from him. Tommy Dreamer shows up, because why not? So, we see Rockstar Spud and Mark Andrews, and they're sightseeing in New York. I think this is kind of funny. Asked what the Empire State Building is, he basically calls it the Washington Monument, and they said they're going to challenge Ethan Carter III and Tyrus to a match tonight. And then the last thing that said, Mandrews wants to know where the White House is, and Spud's response, about 3 blocks away. From the Manhattan Center. Kind of off on that one. So Tommy Dreamer comes out to, of course, his Muzak version of Man in the Box. He calls EY out to the ring. So Eric Young comes out with his mohawk and his It Factor t-shirt, obviously playing up the huge, colossal feud he has with Bobby Roode. He says, you know what? Tommy, stay out of my business. So Dreamer goes on and says, you know what? You and Bobby Roode, you're the first people to extend a hand to me when I enter this company. You're making a mistake. You have to understand you're making a mistake. You went from being a joke on the bottom of the card to the World Heavyweight Champion. People supported you. I can vouch for that because the crowd at the Impact Zone in Orlando, I heard numerous times, they love Eric Young, straight up. It's going to be curious to see what happens when TNA goes back to Orlando. Let me mention that real quick now that I have it in front of me. So, in great news that I'm very happy about, Impact is returning to the Impact Zone, and the Impact Zone will now be Soundstage 20 at Universal Orlando. Soundstage 20 home to Halloween Horror Nights houses. The last time was in 2012 for Dead End. And I believe Gothic, yes, Gothic was there as well. So if you are curious about going to see Impact in Universal Orlando, if you're able to go, do take the opportunity. It's an awesome time. You'll enjoy it. The dates as of this moment, so February 12th through the 16th, they're going to be running shows. They're going to be running Impact tapings. They're going to be running one-night-only pay-per-view tapings. And they're going to be running international explosion matches as well. So you're going to be able to catch them on February 12th at 7 p.m., the 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th at 1 and 7 p.m. So check those out. Doors open an hour before. First come, first serve on the seating. And basically, they're also found out that they're going to be returning in March and April as well. So March 13th through the 16th, catch TNA Impact at the Impact Zone in Universal Orlando. And once more, they will be returning to the Impact Zone April 23rd, 24th, and 25th. So yeah, check them out if you get a chance to. ShopTNA.com to find out more VIP ticket packages. And trust me, if I was in Orlando right now, I totally would be there for it. I'm very much hoping that TNA is going to be filming in Orlando when I am going to be in attendance. But that being said, I had to talk about that. I went off on a tangent. We're talking about the promo here between Tommy Dreamer and Eric Young. Dreamer says, don't burn a bridge with your best friend. Like a lot of B's in these statements tonight. It's crazy. Don't burn a bridge with these fans. So Young goes, you know what? You're a good guy, but you know what? That's got you nowhere. Like, you're a fat loser that lives in this dump. Obviously, Dreamer's from Yonkers, which is outside of Manhattan. I don't want to burn the bridge. I want to blow it up. So apparently, Eric Young's a pyromaniac. Sure. He said, we were friends. We're friends, but that's my mistake. And I'm not going to make mistakes anymore. Dreamer's like, oh, this is over the title? Did you even ask Bobby for a title shot? And Young thinks about it. He's like, yeah, you know, you're right. And then he boots in the midsection, pile drives Dreamer, leaves him for dead. And then for whatever reason, he decks the timekeeper. He tosses the chair in, Bobby Roode comes out for the save, he grabs the chair, EY powders, and hits the timekeeper again, and then he bombs out. So, this is either a rib on the timekeeper, Eric Young legitimately was pissed off with the timekeeper, he missed a cue or something, or he just did it for fun. I'm not sure why he beat up the timekeeper, it doesn't really make much sense. Okay. Next week, and by next week I mean this Friday, the Hardys are going to beat the Revolution for the TNA World Tag Team Championships. But first, tonight we have to focus on Jeff Hardy's battle with Abyss in one more Monsters Ball. So Magnus meets Bram in some hole-in-a-wall bar. And that's all we have there. And we're basically left with that. And then we see Kurt Angle talking to Gunner, and he pretty much strokes Gunner's ego, and that's pretty much getting Gunner on his team for Lethal Lockdown. We go back to Bram and Magnus. Bram's a little bit butthurt that Magnus stole his briefcase. Magnus plays the voice of reason here. He's acting very babyface-like, which is interesting. He made a decision, and by and large, it's going to benefit us both because the case that Magnus got was for a World Tag Team title shot. And who else is Magnus going to team with? No one's still with the company. So, he's been a tag team champion before, like I just mentioned. And, you know, when it comes down to it, Bram's biggest downfall is his temper. And he realizes this, and Bram's like, yeah, you've always been there for me, Magnus, and I'm grateful for it. Magnus like, you know, I got a family to support now, and Bram says, you know what, let's relax and take this easy. He's like, let me see a picture of your kid, of course. He shows him a picture on his cell phone of his kid. So they do the beard app, and they go to leave out the door. Bram stops Magnus, and you know something, if this is a horror movie, you know something bad was about to happen. If this was some sort of like a mob hit, something bad was about to happen. Because the next thing you know, he says, you know what, why don't you go out that way, and I'll settle my bill, and I'll meet you out there. So we follow Magnus. Magnus goes out this, basically, like a side door, kind of like utility hallway, basically. And when he gets out there, he sees one door that says, basically, not an exit. And the other door is locked, so he starts pulling on the door, and all of a sudden you're just imagine Bram coming out from behind him with the machete and everything, just like it's a horror movie. But, yes, it was a complete trap, because Bram ends up beating up Magnus, leaving him for dead. And then the last thing he does is puts the cherry on top with the cue ball right to the forehead. So Bram and Magnus are going to have a feud. I'm okay with this. Monsters Ball is next, and it pretty much starts right in the middle of Josh Matthews and Taz putting over the rest of the show. We pick it up off the tail end of the match, and, of course, Manic, Koya, which he basically just kind of stood there, the Great Sonata, who really didn't do much of anything either, they got involved because it's the Revolution. So, Matt comes out for the save. He grabs a Singapore cane, he starts hitting Koya and Manic and Sonata with cane shots. Storm grabs a garbage can and levels Matt with it. So Manic and Sonata hold Matt for James Storm, and there's a little bit of hesitation. It seems like the cue kind of got blown a bit. Storm nails the last call. Here comes the Wolves, so Richards and Edwards run out. Pop-up kick to Manic, and Matt clotheslines James Storm off the ring apron. The Wolves hit the tandem tope on Koya, Sonata, and Manic on the floor, and Abyss, who grabbed the bag of tacks from under the ring before I started talking about this, dumps the tacks, and we know, obviously, it's his downfall. It always is. Just like when he brought out Janice earlier on in the match, it got stuck in the top turnbuckle. So he climbs up, he goes for a superplex, Jeff blocks it, punches his way out, hits a sunset bomb on the tacks, takes off the shirt, hits the swanton, done the party. After the match is over, Storm gets up in Abyss's face, and Abyss looks like he wants to fight back, but James Storm has the Kool-Aid, so he throws a little bit more to Abyss, and he's like, yes sir, I'll have another. So we're getting Jeff thanking Matt for the help in the back, and obviously this is building towards the tag team title match at Lockdown this Friday, which I'm really looking forward to. I know something's going to happen on this, and this is the reason why Matt is going by himself to the UK, and Jeff's going to get taken out on this show. I'll explain that. If you haven't seen the Instagram video or the video that was posted from like a fan cam for what happened to Jeff Hardy, you need to watch it. It's kind of brutal, but we'll talk about that when we get to it next week. Austin Aries is in the back. He says Bobby Lashley giving him a shot at the championship may be kind of a mistake for him, but he's going to reap the benefits here. He says, I may get beat tonight, but he holds up the case and says I still may win. So obviously, even if Aries loses, he still has the briefcase. He can cash it anytime he wants. Just like the other 3 briefcase holders. One of which I'm about to talk about, and that's Rockstar Spud, who has a guaranteed shot at the X Division Championship. He's teaming up with Mark Andrews, who they're now recalling Mandrews. Makes sense that he's being utilized in this way. Him teaming with his pal from British Boot Camp, Rockstar Spud, taking on the team of Ethan Carter III and Tyrus. They come out. EC3 gets on the mic and says, you know what, your application for a matchup against the 2 of us tonight has been denied. But no worries, I found a suitable replacement. But I will announce them. And here comes DJ Zima Ion, and of course, what does he do? He announces the Bromans. Jesse Goddard and Robbie E, of course, coming out with Angelina Love. And given the fact that Velvet Sky got fired last week, in essence, legitimately, basically what happened is DJ Z was doing Angelina's entrance alongside her. It was really awkward. Yeah. So Josh Matthews calls Robbie E the smartest man alive, given the fact that he utilizes the fact that his briefcase said, "You're fired," but he's not the one that grabbed the case. Velvet Sky did. So now she's gone and Robbie E still has a job. That is a brilliant booking move right there, honestly. So the Bromans just beat down right away. They're beating up Mandrews. Hot tag to Rockstar Spud. He comes in and snap jabs to Robbie E. The groin claw to Rockstar Spud. Jesse comes in. Groin claw to Rockstar Spud. And he can't do it to himself. Well, I guess he can. That's another story altogether. And certainly not something I'd talk about in a wrestling video. So he's got the Bromans and the testicular claw. The late great Luna Vachon would be very proud. So, ducks Jesse's clothesline. Spud hits the Pele kick, rips off his bow tie, it's party time, hits the acid drop, and tags in Mandrews, hits the shooting star press off the top. Match over. Here comes Tyrus. Comes in the ring, and he gives Rockstar Spud the heart punch. And I haven't seen a heart punch for a long time. Last person I know using the heart punch is my good friend, the Death Falcon Zero. So he does a toss-up heart punch to Mandrews, and he does one to Rockstar Spud. EC3 gets in. He says, "Are we having fun yet? I will never give you the pleasure of facing me. But I'll give you a match with Tyrus. How about we have a handicap match with Tyrus?" So we're building towards Rockstar Spud and Mandrews against Tyrus at Lethal Lockdown. Inside the steel cage, obviously, at Lockdown this Friday. Rockstar Spud's pissed. He throws stuff, and he says he's not a loser. We're going to see what happens with next week. Main event time, and what a main event it was. TNA World Heavyweight Championship on the line. Lashley defending against MVP, Bobby Roode, and Austin Aries. We pick it up from the end here, and I love this end. So, Roode Bomb is stopped. Bobby Roode knees Austin Aries off the ring apron before he can get in the ring to do anything. MVP with a double thrust to the throat. The chin breaker goes for the ball and elbow. It connects. Perfect plex, and Aries splash breaks up the pin. Makes a cover on MVP, gets a 2 off of that. Last chancery locked in. Lashley picks up Aries and deadlifts him into an over-the-shoulder power slam, but turns it around, literally flips him into a Dominator. Aries is down. So MVP pulls Lashley's leg to get him out of the ring, and Aries springboards off the top and crowns MVP, tosses him in, and Roode locks MVP in the crossface. Lashley makes the save. Aries goes to dive off the top, but he gets stopped with a punch, knocks him off. He climbs up going for a superplex, Roode stops it, and Roode's underneath Lashley. Tower of Doom connects when Roode powerbombs Bobby Lashley as Lashley superplexes a double. So EY comes out, pulls Bobby Roode out of the ring. He nails him with a chair shot to the ribs, tosses Bobby Roode in the guardrail, and then he leaves because he did all his damage. So Lashley sets up for MDK. Countered, last chancery from Aries. MVP makes a save before the champion has to give it up. Makes a cover on Aries, gets a 2 off of that. Turnabout is fair play. So he goes for the over-the-shoulder. Aries slides down the back, shoves MVP off the ropes, hits the rolling elbow, and MVP knocked Momentum to the floor. He goes for the heat-seeking missile, and Aries gets decimated with the MDK from the World Heavyweight Champion. Lashley covers, and this is all stopped because Samoa Joe and Kenny King hit the ring. No Low Ki here. Low Ki is not a part of this Beatdown Clan beatdown, strangely enough. So, at this point, the BDC are standing tall. Here runs out Gunner and Kurt Angle. They send the BDC to the floor. We come back to commercial break, the last commercial break of the show. Bobby Roode says, "This BS ends now. Next week, I want EY in the cage. No interference, and I'm going to make you pay, and I'm going to make you bleed." So EY is all spastic, like, you know what? I'm going to take your blood, Bobby Roode. It's going to happen. So Kurt Angle wants revenge. Lethal Lockdown. 4-on-4. So Austin Aries grabs the mic from Angle and says, "They don't want me on your team. But all these people want me on your team. I want to be on your team for Lethal Lockdown." And first off, Angle has to calm him down and says, "You know what? Never take the microphone away from me. But you know what? I like your spunk. I admire your moxie," is basically what he's pretty much trying to say. "And we're going to bring Austin Aries into the fold." And that leaves one person and one spot open. Angle looks at Bobby Lashley and basically says, "You know what? I want you to be the fourth. You can either team with us, or you can deal with MVP's crap for the rest of your career." Lashley says, "I want no part of you," and he points at the BDC, and he says, "I'm not going to stand by you either." So Lashley's a loner, and he bombs out. This was fun. Fun edition of Impact. I really enjoyed this show as well. Opening Knockouts 3-way dance. Fun matches. I love Taryn Terrell. Gail Kim, you can't say enough about her greatness as a women's competitor. And I love Madison Rayne to death, and I'm very glad to see she's come so far in such a long amount of time. I really enjoy what she's doing in the ring, and I'm very glad to say that she's now hanging with people that before a lot of people would say that she couldn't hang with. She definitely proves that she belonged in this match. No Kong and Havoc this week, but that was set from last week, so that makes perfect sense to me. Jeff Hardy and Abyss had a great Monsters Ball match, and of course got interference from the Revolution, Matt Hardy, and obviously the Wolves. So I'm sure they're going to face off in one form or another on the UK tour. I think it's the Wolves and Matt Hardy against the Revolution, some sort of 6-man. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. So it seems like Ethan Carter III doesn't want to face Rockstar Spud, so he's putting a lot of roadblocks in his path. He's putting Tyrus in his way, and of course Rockstar Spud is not alone. He has his new friend Mark Mandrews, to see what's up there. I like the main event, Lashley MVP, Bobby Roode, and Austin Aries. Really enjoyable main event. I like the finish there because Aries went for the heat-seeking missile, and then Lashley just cut him in half with the MDK. So, setting up Lockdown for Friday. Should be a really awesome show. 5 matches announced. I'm sure that's not all we're going to see. Rockstar Spud and Mandrews taking on Tyrus, as well as Havoc and Awesome Kong in the ring for the first time ever. The Revolution, James Storm, and Abyss defending the TNA World Tag Team Championships against Matt and Jeff Hardy. You're also going to see the It Factor, Bobby Roode against Showtime Eric Young in a grudge match inside a cage. And the main event, the Beatdown Clan, MVP, the TNA X Division Champion Low Ki, Samoa Joe, and Kenny King, taking on the team of Kurt Angle, the holder of the Feast or Fired briefcase, Austin Aries, Gunner, and a mystery partner, who may or may not end up being Bobby Lashley. We'll see. Really enjoyed the show, and obviously every match in Lockdown is taking place inside the steel cage. So yes, should be a really fun match. I enjoy Lethal Lockdown. It's kind of like a mini version of War Games. I like the way it works out. Kind of like with the weapons. It's a weapons cage match, basically. I believe WCW. I believe in the early days of TNA, Raven used to have a gimmick called Clockwork Orange House of Fun, and it's pretty much what Lethal Lockdown is. I have no problems with that. Should be a great show. I'm really looking forward to Lockdown this Friday, and I will be talking about it next Tuesday. So that being said, that brings us to the close of our NXT and Impact recaps for this week. And quick programming note, I do have a Halloween Horror Nights video coming out later this week. That is a guarantee. I don't know what day it's going to be yet. Check out Pop for the video. So tomorrow we're going to have a brand new vlog of randomness. I'm going to randomly discuss the Grammy Award predictions. Yeah, I'm going to take an award show that I barely watch, and I'm going to make a snap decision on what I think is going to win. This will not end well. Brand new Sip and Snack this week. We're going to be focusing on Pop-Tarts, and Friday, as long as schedule permits, AJ's Movie Reviews will be returning to this channel. We're going to be talking about SpongeBob, Sponge Out of Water, as well as Jupiter Ascending and Seventh Son. I believe there are a few more on this. So Saturday, Gaming with Ash is supposed to be returning. Sunday will be a brand new Versus. Your cryptic comment is actually going to be 100 years. That is also the same day as the BAFTAs, and if you have not checked out our BAFTA predictions and that's your thing, then check out the BAFTA predictions. It's either on the recent videos playlist if you click a few, or you can catch it on the award show playlist. So that being said, obviously, that leads us to Celebrity Apprentice. Maybe take a hiatus next week. I don't know. No, we'll take a hiatus. Yeah, Celebrity Apprentice next week, yeah. The start of the final task, and after what happened on Celebrity Apprentice last night, oh, this is going to be fun. So it's going to be a fun video, Celebrity Apprentice, this Monday. So, that being said, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. As always, if you like these videos, tell your friends about them, leave a comment, do subscribe, help spread the word about Pop. If you haven't yet, go to Facebook, click like on our Facebook fan page. It's Sir Owen Disney Pop. Follow me on Twitter at Sir Owen Disney. Friend request me via Facebook if you'd like at Owen Disney. And if you'd like to become a popcaster yourself, you have ideas for the vlog of randomness, or the sip and snack, or versus, or if you'd like to talk wrestling with me, WWE, TNA, you talk NXT with me, or if you'd like to talk Halloween Horror Nights with me, 'tis the season. Talk about movies with me, we can talk about that, talk about music, we can ask me questions that I can't answer on here for good reason. If you'd just like to say hey, send me an email, siroandisney@gmail.com. So in the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching, and until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I gotta say about that.